Okay, guys. So very good afternoon to all of you. Thanks for joining. I hope all of you are very safe and staying at home during these conditions and following up with the government and the rules that they have created so far. So today we'll be discussing what are action on Google, what is action on Google, and how can we use this AOG platform to build a conversation app. Okay. So before we begin, it's very important to understand why we are building these things. So as we know, Google become a leader in space, right? For being a quick, reliable mean to search any kind of information across internet, right? People come to Google every day with set of question keywords in terms of text or image, right? Just to get an answer of the queries. So Google search is an option where we get everything on daily basis, and we can use text based search as well as voice based search to get the queries resolved. Yeah. So before we begin or directly jump to AOG, it is very important to understand the trends, how this evolution of AOG happened, and why people are moving to more voice based search rather than text based search nowadays. So it is, as we move on, let's take a look at 10 years of growth that we had. So every decade or so we have a big shift in technology that add to or we what we develop and how users interact with technology. So let's for an example move to mobile first. We just saw an explosion of new devices. There are many hundred of devices, thousand hundred of devices available nowadays. So this is a decade trend that is being displayed on the slide. So from 2000 onwards, we can say trend is more towards AI and assistants. Okay. Mm. Just going very slow because due to the network issue, I guess slides should be visible to all. I don't want to go very fast so that I am on somewhere else and you guys are looking at the previous slide. Yeah. So now, like most of the business, we anticipated that technology should change. Our business needed to change with it, right? So people start coming to Google with computers in their pockets nowadays. By pocket, I mean mobiles within their pockets to search everything they want. So this is a small slide displaying how we can, scan something using Google Lens and search what is being displayed outside the view. Okay. So what usually we find when surfing internet or maybe googling it, what we do more frequently, we search for weather. This is just a pure example, what four best examples that most of the people do. We search for weather forecast, maybe a game search, maybe searching for a restaurant nearby and a coffee shop if we had a hectic day, right? So these are the common searches that we do. Okay. So this is again an example where we do a quick search on whether play a game, maybe booking a table on restaurant or ordering a coffee. So all these things are now possible using voice technologies. That is, we can use AOG platform and leverage the capabilities of the same just to implement these things. These are very super quick. We can use AOG and we can build actions very quickly and deploy and grow a business. So these are the do's that we do normally. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah. So this what I was saying very early during the presentation, that voice is becoming are growing at a very rapid pace nowadays. So it is very convenient if you are able to search via voice, right, rather than typing. It saves your time. It's allow you to interact normally with the applications. Whatever you want to search, you can just say it, and whatever you say, it is the responsibility of the backend or the AOG platform to handle your queries and convert it into response. So voice is becoming or growing very rapidly nowadays. So it is very important to stay, stay updated with the technology. And if we are looking towards the AOG platform, what it has to offer, that will be exploring very soon now. So again, this is again an example that shows how people are interacting with actions on Google on Assistant. They're checking weather, playing games, ordering coffees, booking cabs, booking restaurants, booking tickets. So these are all these are the offerings that Google Assistant has nowadays. And even we can also build our actions on top of Google Assistant to extend the functionality of Google Assistant. So that will be exploring later today. Okay, so let's move to Google Assistant. Let's meet Google Assistant. What is Google Assistant, right? We are, it's a very buzzword nowadays. What is Google Assistant? How we can, build actions on Google Assistant. So Google Assistant lead to the creation of actions which can be deployed on cloud and can be utilized by millions of people around the world. So Google primarily focuses on machine learning, speech recognition, and natural language processing. Right. So all of these three features are combined in Google Assistant. So that is, we don't need to take care of machine learning, speech recognition, or natural language, or I should say NLP, natural language processing part. It is automatically being handled by the platform itself. We just need to basically provide the context, what user will be uttering, and what interpretation of the text should take place in the form of intents using AOG. So that we will be doing today. So as I said, all these things come under together in Google Assistant. It allows you to have a conversation with Google and helps to get things done very quickly at a very rapid pace, for sure. Due to use of AI conversations, the conversations looks very natural, right? We just use our voice and assistant d- does it for you. Yeah, so this is a very simple, I should say, definition of Google Assistant. So what were the reasons behind early success of this AOG platform? So early reasons of success for this AOG platform was the voice capability it has to offer. Right. So it has a great voice capability that allows users to, do a very quick search, maybe book a restaurant, book a table in a restaurant, book a cab, or whatever, or maybe order a Domino's pizza. So just it offers you the voice technology, voice capability to do something with your phone. It's a very great power that it has to offer, which led to a very rapid success of this platform. So obviously, uh, so ready to help across 50 million devices. So it's a old stat that I'm talking about right now. So there are more than 500 million devices across the globe which are using AOG, maybe inbuilt in the devices, right? So let's just assume if we create an action of a product, let's say we have a mobile application or a web application, and we create a Google Assistant to support that particular application. It will, how many users we can reach around the globe. If we have for an example, 500 million devices and users are using it. We can simply reach 500 million users just with the creation of this assistant. And trust me, we can create our assistant within 10 minutes. If we are creating a basic structure or basic prototype, we can just create it in 5 minutes, and we'll be doing that soon. So these are the verticals where AOG is available, or I should say actions are available. So I'm a bit slowing down because I guess the display of the slides should be appropriate. So I hope everyone is able to see the language slide now. Okay, so these are the different languages that AOG platform supports currently, and many of the languages are being added uh, on, you can say, on monthly basis. The team is adding the languages very rapidly, so you can choose your country, and you can build your actions according to the native language as well. So in India we have Hindi, Marathi, English, which are trending, right? So that's why we have marked these languages on slide. Okay, so let's move to AOG. What is AOG? Sorry about my voice. Okay, what is AOG? As I already explained, so let's bit understand the ecosystem before we directly jump into the practical part, right? So this platform has three parts: a Google Assistant is a personal assistant, or you can say a virtual assistant that enables the conversations between user and your backend. Let's say Google as a backend for now. Then then what we do with the assistant, we just talk with the assistant and get the things done, right? So these are the three platforms: Google Assistant, Action on Google, and devices that we need to work on this ecosystem. So let's start with Action on Google. Let's understand how this works and how we can create a simple action using Action on Google. Okay, so I hope every one of you has interacted with Google Assistant, right? Guys who are having Android phones must be interacting very frequently compared to the iOS guys, right? So this is a very basic flow of the conversation that happens between Google Assistant and the user. So let me explain this very simple flow chart. So user says something or types something on his or her device that is being sent to the AOG platform, which understands what is being said by the user and send a HTTP request to your action, and then action sends you a response of the request, which is being again transformed by the AOG platform before sending to the user. Okay, so here we have mentioned user input, that is a plain text or a natural language that is being uttered from a mouth, right? And that is being converted into HTTP request, that is maybe a REST API or whatever you want to call it. It's a API that we invoke, and it is being sent to the backend, which is being handled by the action, and result of that request is being sent back as a HTTP response that is again being handled by AOG platform, and using fulfillment response it is being transformed into user understandable language that can be a simple text or maybe a basic card. Okay, so this is a very simple flow that's what we're gonna do today. Okay, So before again jumping into the practical, let's understand how we can build these things. So there are whenever we do some kind of coding or maybe so firstly I want to clear that no coding is required if you want to build your action. Okay, so whenever we learn something there are basic blocks, right? Building blocks are there. So in AOG we do have some building blocks. Here we have these three building blocks, that is the dialog flow, cloud actions, action on Google's. Okay, so let's understand what is dialog flow. I hope everyone is aware whenever we build some sort of application, maybe a mobile application or a web application, there are two parts, a front end and a back end, right? So here we what we can say that dialog flow act as a backend for AOG platform. So dialog flow is a platform that makes it incredibly straightforward to build conversation, right? Very fluent conversations we can build using dialog flow. It provides a intelligent GUI for the developers to build actions quickly. It turns kind of unstructured natural language which is being entered by the user as an input into a structured presentation, right, which is being consumed by the Google Assistant itself. So whenever we'll be talking about dialog flow, we'll be talking about intents and entities. So there are two terms that we need to understand in order to understand dialog flow. Those are intent and entity. Okay, so I guess enough of the slides. I should directly jump into some sort of practical, right? So that we can make interest of. So let's say in order to create action, just search simply action on Google, on your Google search, in your Google search. Just let me know in comments whenever you are there. Let's do a bit of hands-on as well. Okay, I hope you guys are here only. So it's a beginner's track for sure, and we'll be coming with intermediate and experts track very soon. So before you start something, you should learn the basics first. That's what I believe. So let's start building. Just go to the action console. Okay, so this is a very simple GUI, displaying action on console. So you'll see that there is an option to create a new project, right? Just click on that, if you want to create a new action of by yourself. So let me know in comments if you face any issues, or maybe, right, if you stuck somewhere, just let me know in comments. Okay, so just click on new project and there will be a pop-up saying enter a project name, right? I hope everyone is doing it simultaneously so that by the end of this session we can create something. Okay, so just enter since it's a demo, I'll be entering demo. Just once you enter the project name on the AOG console, very wisely choose the region in which you want to publish. Whenever I say this, because we are currently in India, by default it is selected as US, United States, right? So just go to India, select, because if you don't select this as your region, and if you're developing from India, then this action won't be available in your region to test. This will be published to US people only. Then click on create project. Okay. So once you click on create project, you'll be redirected to a new web page within the actions console. That is the templates page, where you can choose a pre-existing actions and start developing on top of that. But since we are starting very from the very start, we won't be selecting any template as of now, and we'll be going back to our projects and clicking on demo test just to start very fresh. So just click on action on Google at the very left, and on the left top you'll be redirected to the dashboard, where you can select your project which you have built. Okay, so this is action on Google dashboard of your project. So this is where you make all the configurations regarding to AUG platform for your project itself. Okay, so let's click on develop. Here you can name your action, whatever you want to give it. For example, Dr. Music, it is being hinted over here. It can be your name, it can be anyone, your product name, maybe let's say Domino's, or whatever your business is, you can name it here. Just click on actions, because since we are building action on top of Dialog Flow in this session, so just click on actions under develop. So just click on get started, and you can see there are pre-built actions available, right? Intents available basically, which you can utilize and build on top of those. But since we are building this action from the scratch, we'll be using custom intent, and just click on build after selecting custom intent. Once you do that, you'll be redirected to a new web page, right? Just select your Gmail account which you are using to build. It will ask for particular permissions that Dialogflow needs in order to pursue his working. So just allow those permissions, and then you'll be redirected to the Dialogflow itself. In case if you don't have any account with Dialogflow, just sign in with Google. That is your Gmail account again. Once you do that, you'll be redirected to Dialog Flow dashboard. Now, since we are creating a new, whatever we create in Dialogflow, it is being called as agents. So here in this dashboard, we'll be creating a new agent. I have named it test demo. Just name a relevant or a name which is very similar to your product or whatever name you want to give it to your backend. Just give that name, and once you are done with that, just click on create. It will simply create the agent for you. Okay, so once you do that, you'll see a screen similar to this, where on the left hand side, where the menu is being displayed, you can see whatever we discussed over slides, intents, entities are here. So just let me go very quickly back to my slides, just to get a reference of this one, just to give you a quick overview of this. Yeah, so this is what we discussed very early in the session. So I'm just waiting the slides or the screen to refresh, I guess. So all of you can see my screen again. Okay, so this is a very simple conversation flow that we have. A user says something and it is being sent to the AOG platform, which is again being transformed into a HTTP request, and then again once it is processed, it is being sent as a HTTP response back to the AOG platform, which is again transformed into user, understandable result via fulfillment. Okay, so how that basically works in the background, that is being done in the Dialog Flow. Okay, so here again, as I said that it interacts with the Dialog Flow, right? So here we need to create an intent. Just click on the create intent. So I'm naming it as about webinar. Once you enter the name of the intent, click on the save button at the very right top. So our team will be replying in comments. If you have any queries, or if you're stuck somewhere, our team will be replying in the comments. So once you do that, your newly created intent is being saved, and you can see there is a particular option of training phrases. So what are training phases? These are basic interactions that we put in. We basically put basic interaction in these training phases, just imagining that the user will be saying this to our action, which needs to be, transformed into a request and sent to the backend, uh, to the which will produce basically results which we can display to the users. So let's create a basic training phrase here. Since we have defined the intent name as about webinar, it is very important, whatever training phases you are defining, it should be, very much under the category of the intent name. So we have defined about webinar. That means that whatever training phases or we expect user to say or ask about a webinar, right? So whatever training phases we are going to define uh, is what we are expecting user to say, right? So let's say if user says something, what is this webinar, right, all about? So just click on and enter. Once you are done with the training phase, you can add n number of training phases here. Let's say, what can I expect from this webinar? Okay, so I guess I have defined three training phases as of now, which should be sufficient for a demos perspective, right? Again, you can write a number of training phases, right? So more the number of training phases you add to your intent, more is the accuracy level. Okay, so try to add as many as you can. So once you do that, just click on save again. So it is very important to save your work, right? Either on an Excel sheet or on a web page. So just click on save once you are done with the training phases. Okay, cool. It is being saved. You'll get a pop-up message saying that your work is being saved. So now what we have done till now, we have created a Dialogflow account which has automatically created our agent which will be used in the AOG, right? Then we created our intent within that Dialogflow agent. Under that agent, we have defined some training phases, right? So now we know what user will be saying, so we know the expectations, right? We have defined it. Now what response should be there to these training phases? If users say something similar to this, what should be our response? So here is a responses tab that you can see at the very below within the intent. So just click on add response. So there are two type of responses here: default, a Google Assistant, and a plus tab, which will display more options of the responses which you can add on. So as of now, let's focus on a simple response that we can add here. So since we have written about webinar, so I'll be writing an answer accordingly. This webinar is on AOG, where basics will be explained, and how can you quickly work using AOG, or you can quickly of that build actions using AOG. Okay, so I have added a very simple response in it. So once again you are done with this, just click on save, just to save your work. You'll again get a pop-up saying that intent is being saved. So there are three pop-ups that you get whenever you click on save within an intent. That is intent saved, agent training started, agent training completed. So what is the meaning of these? So whenever you add something, whether it's a training phrase or an intent name or a response, basically what it does is it trains the training phases intent according to your training phases using NLP. So once it is being completed, it throws a message saying that. So since we have saved this work, let's try something within Dialog Flow itself. So just try to copy the training phrase, whatever you have defined, one of the training phases, and at the very right side you'll see try it now within Dialog Flow. So just try to type that training phrase and see, you'll get a default response what we defined. So it is saying that this webinar is on AOG, where basics will be explained and how you can build actions using AOG, right? Okay, so this is a very basic example of creating an intent. Now, if you click on intents itself, you can see we just created one intent named as about webinar. Right. So, but by default, there are two intents which is being automatically created within this agent. That is the default fallback intent and the default welcome intent. So, by default fallback intent, what we mean is if let me open this one just to explain it a bit further. Okay, so here you can see if the input whatever user has entered via voice or a keyboard is not matched with any of the intents defined in our agent, then it will go to the fallback intent, right? So it will say I didn't get that, I missed that, or all these are the responses which is defined under text default response, right? Okay, so these are the default responses defined. So this AOG play picks a random response and displays it to you. So this was the dialog flow part that we do normally. Let's go to integrations very quickly since we are short of time. And once you click on integrations, you'll see a Google Assistant integration. Just click on Google Assistant. A pop-up will be displayed to you saying Google Assistant, Discovery, or overviews. At the very below, you can see three options: Test, Manage Assistant App, Close. Since we are in developing stage, we'll be testing whatever we build on Dialog Flow in Google Assistant or maybe on Action on Google platform. So just click on Test. So once you click on Test, you will be redirected again to the Actions console, where there was a tab earlier, Test. Right, there's a virtual simulator available which you can use to test your action here. So by default, name given to our application is Test App. So if you say talk to my test app,
Getting the test version of my test app. Greetings. How can I assist?
so you'll get a default message which is being defined under this intent, default welcome intent. You can override this intent for sure, but this is what you get. If we compare greetings, how can I assist, it is being present here. So these are the default responses which is being picked randomly by the AG platform. Okay, so let's test something that we built on a custom intent, that is about webinar. So let me copy this training phrase again. Just try to paste it here and see how does it respond.
This webinar is on AOG where basics will be explained. And how can you build actions using AOG?
So this is the response that we defined with respect to this training phrase, right? So let me try something random.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can
So
you rephrase?
see if I define something which is not being in the training
This
phrase.
webinar is on AOG where basics will be explained. And how can you build actions using AOG?
So if I defined about the NLP engine was not able to, compare with the intent or does not find any relevant intent to this user query, so the default response was being displayed here. If you go to request here, you'll see what was sent to AG platform. Okay, so if you see, these are the arguments, right? This was what we sent to the Dialog Flow platform via AOG, and in response what we get. So this is a JSON that we get from Dialog Flow, which is being transformed into user understandable form that we discussed earlier in slides. So this is what is being speeched, and this is the displayed text which we can see here too. So this is how basically action on Google and Dialog Flow integration works, and how you can play around. You can always modify text to speech in the action on Google or in the Dialog Flow console if you want speech to be something different than the display text. Okay, so once you are done with your intents and these testings, you can always go to deploy, and which we'll be discussing in further webinars, how you can deploy your action on Google. So let me very quickly turn back to my slides so that we can just wrap up this beginner's track. Okay, so as we understood how Dialog Flow works, so this is a very basic flow diagram explaining the same functionality that we just did. User says something, it goes to the agent matches the intent, and according to the intent, if there's a match, then it goes to the response of the intent, which is again being sent to the user. Okay, uh, so this is a template versus custom AOG, right? So as I said, there are predefined custom templates available that you can use. Just quickly pick whichever fits your use case and start building on top of that. It will save your time and you'll get some good intents in templates. If you want to, if none of the template matches with your use cases, then you can just build a custom AOG, right, and transform that into yours. Built-in intents. So we talked about templates. There are built-in intents too, which we can always copy and just paste into our agents. So these are the pre-built intents available, which you can utilize in your actions. So with respect to intents, there are pre-built agents too available, which you can directly pick and import in your actions. Just try to pick any agent, and instead of building a new dialog flow agent, just pick these and import it. You'll get everything. If any use case matches with your use case, then only try to do that. It will save your time again. So these are simple repositories available. You can try. There are sample actions, sample GitHub. Code Labs is also there, that I'll be sharing the links with you guys. So you can try these under the blue link, developers.google.com/action/samples. You will find it there. So these are the sample actions available. These are the sub samples available on GitHub, which you can do. We'll be sharing this over email to everyone for sure. So don't bother, writing these things. So we'll try to share these links with you for sure. So these are the code labs available for the beginners track, level 1, level 2, level 3. So this is what all about, getting yourself started with AOG. The time is right. We don't have to go out nowadays, so I guess we should utilize our time to build something useful. So why not build a very useful conversational app which can help people during these things, or maybe a entertainment app which can help users to consume the time properly at home. So this is the right time to build actions, right? So utilize your time to build these actions. So these are the some of the links which you can refer for community support. Right, for the documentation, you can go to google.developers.google.com/actions, and this is the official